So this week's Fallout Friday, we have another unboxing, this time of the two newest sets for the new Commonwealth wave. We have the Gunners Conquerors of Quincy, which is all their character models, and for some reason, a Conscript. So you've got three named people plus, Joe Bob Grunt that's sitting there going, why am I here? Also, we have the Railroad Operatives. So, this is a set of 5 heavies. Actually, 4 heavies plus Glory plus Deacon. Which I believe with the addition of Deacon, that is all of the companions from the basic Fallout 4. We still don't have the ones for the expansions, but we don't have any real expansion materials yet. I am hoping to see the Nuka World gangs portrayed. We already have some scenery, so I'm fingers crossed we're heading in that direction eventually. Now, this is the first Railroad set that has just generic models as opposed to the core set, which for once is all characters. It was a little confusing. But with the Railroad, they are pretty much just entirely character-based models anyway, so that makes sense. But this should be our first ones with multi-part kits. So, let us see here. Alright, so we have Deacon with his rifle, but just his rifle, because his head should be on a separate sprue. That's interesting. Looks like we got some different mix of resin here. So it looks like the old school gray stuff as opposed to the newer stuff. So, interesting. Is that her base? No. That's not even her base. That's 180's base. So, odd. So I'm going to guess, yep, this is 180. So that's one of them with his rail rifle. Those things are massive. And then we have 2 different heads for Deacon. We have the classic pompadour and sunglasses, or bald with sunglasses. So, however you choose to paint him. And then for Glory, we just have her with her minigun. So it's cool that we have a minigun sized for just a regular person now. And then that's her base. Bases are sticking with the theme we saw with the other Railroad releases, which is the brick and the path that leads to their HQ. So that one Railroad guy doesn't have any options. He's just, you get a rail rifle gun, and that is it. Alright. So let's see. This guy's got a I want to say EMP gun, but I know I'm wrong because that's not at all what a thing is. Just the rail gun, the ECM cartridges, 2mm whatever rifle. It'll come to me after. Alright, so that person there. We've got some extra hands that are kind of fallen off of the sprues, but nothing too terrible. Let's see. This person's got the Gauss Rifle. See, I knew it'd come to me. So this person's got a Gauss Rifle or a combat rifle, so that's interesting. This will be this person's. And then we've got a whole bunch of optional. Oh, that's broken. Okay. So that's snapped there, but that's easily glued back together. And then that came off of that sprue. Okay. And then we have a bunch of excess pieces. Let's see, we've got an arm here and an arm there. Yep, so that's from these two sprues. So just going to have to be real careful when cleaning that I don't misplace these teeny tiny parts, which means they are going back into the bag so I don't lose them, because that can be a big problem when cleaning. It's just randomly losing tiny parts. Alright, so that's it for the railroad operatives. Let's take a look at our gunner's box. Alright, so the Conquerors of Quincy. So in the lore of Fallout 4, these are the gunners who attacked and took over the town of Quincy that the Minutemen were supposed to protect. And some Minutemen showed up, but not enough to successfully defend the town. And you're... let's see. The refugees who fled that town are the ones that you meet at the beginning of the game. So they actually fled fairly long distance. Let's see, is this broke? It might be broke. Hard to tell. Alright, so looks like we got head variants here. So this is for Tessa, and we've got a head variant in, looks like maybe a football helmet or no helmet at all, and then that's her arm outside of the armor, because her armor's kind of piecemeal. Yep, so I had a laser rifle here. Snap off. It's 2 snaps. But that's easily glued back together and supported with the other arm, so not a huge deal. This is hat. Alright, so 169 is Tessa's. 168 is the arm in that. Okay, so there's an optional head for that, either with the cowboy hat or without. Why would you ever not have the cowboy hat on, is my question. This is kind of weird. Looks like the bases are not in the right order, or they just messed up the numbering on them. No, there's 168. That's just on me. Alright. So now we have 2 normal-sized people. So this is the Conscript. Is it Conscript or... yeah, Conscript. Which, you know, Conscript is, hey, you work for us now. That's 167, 166. So that's his base, has a little ammo crate maybe. And then this base has a Liberty Bell. Or, you know, a bell. Not the Liberty Bell, but a bell. So that'll be interesting. I really need to get some dirty down. They do a green brass, you know, oxidization stuff that, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of right now, but that would look really good on that bell. So he may wind up not being painted until I have some. And then this particular gentleman, he's got the Ushanka Hat. Let's show him off a bit. But then, more importantly, he has the option of a missile launcher or a Fat Man, which I will probably be equipping him with the missile launcher, which will leave me a Fat Man to play with for something else. Mostly because the missile launcher is just the more effective weapon. Gotta agree with War Games News Radio on that one. Alright, so I'm going to get these cleaned up. In the case of these tiny pieces, we will set them aside. But the rest we'll clean up with some warm soapy water and a toothbrush to get any mold agent off of them. And then we will assemble them and see how they all look. And we'll see what I pick for any of the options. Okay, so we've cleaned and assembled everything. So let's just go through the Gunners, Conquerors of Quincy first. So we have Tessa here with her Power Fist. Ostensibly she has a Power Fist. It's kinda... she basically is just unarmed combating, because it's not really a Power Fist on this particular model that you can see. One interesting thing about this is you basically have a Raider power armor shoulder and arm, T-51 chest, and then the rest is just all the exoskeleton. So that'll be fairly unique for painting. For the base, we have a lunchbox and some empty bottles, and then a lot of fusion cores. So that seems like, if you're going through that many fusion cores, you got a problem. Alright, and then I believe this is Clint. So he's kind of in a running with a modified laser rifle pose. Love the hat, makes him look like a post-apocalyptic cowboy kind of guy here. Teddy Roosevelt looking. He's got his glasses, his hat, the whole 9 yards. And he's in a full suit of T-51. Except the chest. That is not a T-51 chest. That's a T-60 chest. So, kind of interesting to see them basically kit bashing their armor together. Which will also open up some interesting ideas for painting. Alright, and then this is the Conscript. So you see he's just in basic outfit, rifle. Still got a bit of flash on that, in fact. So while I'm looking at it, let's just kind of peel that off there. And it's right in that grip area too, which is no fun, because that means all of the individual little pieces are kind of messed up. There. And we go after that a little bit with a file in between the grooves. And then he's got a crate, some rope, and some plants, and some shells on his base. And then this is Sergeant Baker, I think, or it's Clinton Baker flipped. But so this is the one that you could have the Fat Man or the missile launcher. I've gone with the missile launcher, and he's got like that Liberty Bell type thing on the base. So I'll hold off on painting him until Goblin Hut has some more of the dirty down verdigris in, because that'll make painting that really cool. And now for the railroad, this is the once again the railroad operatives, which means we have Deacon here, one of the 2 characters in this box. I went with bald head, and he's got his traditional sniper rifle. Base is pretty plain, just some wooden planks, a bit of dirt, and our brick, but nice clean model. And then let's skip ahead and look at Glory now. So Glory is interesting in that there's definitely 2 types of resin going on in here. The gun and the body are the older light gray resin. And then this arm and the base are the newer, almost white. And one of the bases is actually in the older light gray as well, and I could definitely feel the snap difference. But as for Glory herself, she's pretty cool. We've got her minigun, And the camera is just not liking her at all today. Come on. There we go. Get a little bit of focus in there. But yeah, so she's got a minigun, the heavy outfit, and her base is the same brick, and then the little pathway you follow to find them. And then we have 4 heavies with various weapons. So first guy here has a Gauss Rifle, now that I can actually remember the name. Then this guy has a Railway Rifle, or Rail Rifle, whatever it's called. I do love using those in Fallout 76. And we have another one with Rail Rifle. There's nothing like headshotting people with a railroad spike. And then this guy I went with, instead of the Gauss Rifle, because it had a little bit of damage to it. Was that the one that was damaged? No, actually, the Gauss Rifle was fine. It was one guy who could have had a regular rifle, and it was split. And so, actually, no, this was the guy that. Actually, I'm not sure, but either way, I went with. So for her, I went with the combat rifle, and again, pretty standard base. They'll all line up quite nicely faction-wise, which is what I like to see with my bases. I like to see some consistency as far as a faction goes, and Modifius does a really good job with their scenic bases of doing that. But yes, so those are the 2 latest boxes. Now, in this second part of the wave, they also have the magazine that has a bunch of scenarios in it. I've got that on back order, the physical version, as well as the Commonwealth Wave packet and cards itself. Both of those on the US site were available for purchase, but had not arrived at the distributor yet. So as soon as what I did was I split my order into 2. One order to get the miniatures that were available, and then another order for the stuff that was awaiting arrival at the facility. That way, as soon as it arrives, it should ship out and I should get it. But that's all I've got for this week, as I'm traveling for the weekend. I wanted to get this recorded ahead of time and uploaded to release on Friday. We'll be back next week, hopefully with my Moon Knight video, along with the next part of our painting for this wave. So you all have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.